Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about my thoughts on the Winter 2024 LOAON. This is one of the yearly presentations given to us by Smilegate for Lost Ark. So as you probably know, LOAON happened last night and Maxroll was nice enough to go ahead and give us a summary page to take a look at. So I just kind of wanted to talk about my thoughts on some of it, especially because I just put out that video yesterday before LOAON, talking about how Lost Ark's ELIXIR and Transcendence system was probably one of the worst I've ever seen in any video game. They did touch on the Transcendence and ELIXIR system, as you know, I mentioned yesterday in my video. I thought they would. And so I'll be going over all those details as well, and then kind of giving my thoughts on those new systems before we get our hands on it. And then I'll probably make a video once we actually get our hands on it and can see more in depth what's happening. So one of the very first things that's actually not included on here is they went over some interesting statistics. We saw that things like Vicus had, or not Vicus, Echidna had like 63 million kills against players and all these like huge numbers. And then we saw, you know, the number of people that have done Deathless and all that stuff. One of the interesting things was that the number of people doing Deathless Brel Shaza, the new one that came out in Korea a few months ago, is only about 2,200 people. And the reason why that's interesting is because those are equivalent to what would have been like hell mode numbers before. So usually I think there's only like, you know, about 2,000 kills of those hell mode stuff. And they stopped making that content because not enough people were engaging with it. But people weren't engaging with it because it was too hard. So long story short, it seems like Brelshaza is definitely in need of some nerfs, which we already knew. And it does seem like the director agrees, so that will probably be coming somewhere in the pipeline as well. But those are kind of some of the big numbers. But also we saw that I think it said 43,000 people were logging in every single day for the entire year, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Because usually I would only suspect that the number of players that log in every single day for an entire year without missing any days would be, you know, maybe it's got to be less than 10%, I would think, on average. But it's really interesting to see it that high, because if we take that amount and we assume it's only 10%, you know, that's a lot of players they have over in Korea, to kind of give some perspective. So the next thing that got announced was the new continent, Rimeria. And so we can already see Rimeria on the map. I believe it's over upper right-ish area with like Annika and stuff. But basically it's the home of the Yaws. And so as they mentioned, it's going to be very whimsical and full of illusions. It's the homeland of Shandy. And so there are some story implications there that I'm not really going to go into. As you can probably guess, this led directly into the new class, and it is another Ayaya. So I'm just going to be having it play in the background and then kind of talking about it as we look at it and stuff. You know, unfortunately, it is another Ayaya class. You know, personally, I'm not very excited about that. They got the whole Loli thing going on, the Lolibaba thing, maybe, I don't really know. Anyway, I would rather just play as the regular like mage or something instead. But it does seem to be very whimsical. You can see the like Mokoko on the head of the bear, and even the bear is a little derpy looking and stuff. But overall, actually, the animations, as you'll see here, actually look pretty good. You know, like I think it actually will be a fun class to play. I'm actually going to be making this class. The transformation aspect seems really cool. You can see you can transform into the wolf and then do different abilities, but you'll see in a second here that you can transform back and forth. So you can go into bear form and use your bear abilities, and then transfer into your wolf and use your wolf abilities, and then like swap back and forth. So right now you see wolf into bear, back into wolf, and back into the bear. So you can kind of like chain combo the abilities. Now we'll have to see how this exactly works. Is it going to be a stance kind of like Gunslinger? Is it going to be an identity or like a transformation, like typically with you know, like the Demonic Impulse and things like that? The spirit skills don't really appeal to me as much. That looks like a really cool awakening though. And then the hyper awakening looks really cool. We'll see in a second here. And that was a Hyoryukin or whatever. This is the hyper awakening, and it looks fantastic. All the colors, the fox, and everything. I think overall it's actually like a pretty cool announcement for a new class. It just, like I said, kind of stinks that it's another IA. One thing that I did want to add is, while the Western players may not love the whole IA theme, it seems like Korean players really do. So this is going to be a really big money maker over there in Korea. And so they were quite excited about it. I think there are some Western players that are receptive and stuff of the IA class as well too. So, and like I said, it does kind of go along with that like whimsical theme and everything that we normally see with the specialist class, whether it be the artist or the aeromancer. One thing I wanted to add too was that the Wildsoul will be coming out in Korea in January, so hopefully we can see it in January as well. But Russia said that they're getting theirs in February, so we'll have to see. So the next thing I'm really excited about, and that is female paladin. We did get an announcement from the director right at the very end. He was like, I want to give one more teaser of something coming in the future. And so this is what we got here, just a short like picture of a female paladin. And he said that it would be coming in the summer for Korea. Hopefully we will also get it as a global release, or at least sometime shortly after there in the summer. I will be I'll be definitely playing one of these. I've always loved the idea of female paladin, and wow, I play a female paladin. Just in general, paladin of all the supports is the easiest one because it can really help both front attackers and back attackers, even on a big boss. You just don't have the same range limitation that you have with artist and bard. So from that kind of standpoint, it's really nice to play as well. The director did specifically announce that there would be a DPS component to the female paladin, is what it seems like. So it's going to be some kind of like hybrid or something. Also, he did say that it will be the strongest support, and that's a pretty big, that's a pretty big announcement. So we'll have to see how it works. I really hope what they do is they lean more into the idea of her as a DPS and less as a support. The thing is if you have a DPS support hybrid, and they're able to support anywhere near the amount of support that an actual support will give, it will just become what everyone brings. Everyone will only bring female paladin and no one else will bring the other classes. And you have to be really careful of that. That's something that we've seen a lot in World of Warcraft specifically. You'll see at the high end, Discipline Priest ends up being very strong almost every expansion. And the reason for that is because when you're pushing the limits against time and you need more damage, usually you can just have people keep themselves alive, use another pot, use another defensive, whatever it has to be. And then you want to squeeze out a little more damage from your healers or from your supports. And so I do worry that this will be their Discipline Priest moment. And I can tell you for sure, after years and years and years of having watched Blizzard try and balance around it, they never got it right. Either Discipline Priest is too strong or they're crap and no one brings them. So we'll have to see. Hopefully they have really given some thought to this. We've actually recently seen a similar thing with AUG Evokers in World of Warcraft 2. They tried to make a DPS class that had supporting aspects, and they ended up also being like an instant pick, and a lot of raids were bringing like 3 or 4 or even 5 of them. So we'll have to see how that ends up getting balanced. It's something, like I said, they need to be really careful with, because it's a place that they haven't gone before, and it's very easy to go too far. So we'll have to see. So the next thing that they announced was the Kazeros Raid. Of course, we're getting another raid. That's not really too big of a shocker. Normal mode will be at 1680, hard mode will be at 1700. Seems to be like a pretty normal trend from what we're seeing. Glad to see that normal mode isn't going up that much more from Brel 1670 to 1680. Same for hard mode. So that'll be cool. It's coming out on January 8th for Korea. No idea when it'll be coming to global, but this is a whole nother raid ahead of where we're at right now, so it's not really a big deal. So spoiler warnings, if you don't want to see, feel free to go to the next chapter. Give you in like 2 seconds here. All right, so if you are still here, I assume you want to know, Thamine is going to be the first boss. Saint said it yesterday that at this point the Legion commanders are kind of like, Team Rocket, and that just has really stuck with me. It's really disappointing from a story standpoint. I hate that we are fighting these people and then they go blasting off at the end of the episode and they're back the next episode, but that just is the way that it is. And so, yes, we will be fighting Thamine and his dragon for Gate 1. And then Gate 2 is going to be, it looks like, an insect boss. So if you want to start working on your insect damage, that might be a good way to increase your damage for this raid. He has some cool looking stuff, but honestly, it's just mostly his model. It looks cool. He doesn't look very, intimidating or anything. And then the final boss is going to be a spin around the platform one. So similar to Belshazzar Gate 3 and, the old water dungeon we used to have. It's looking very reminiscent of those kind of like, there's a guy in the middle and we're spinning around him kind of thing. I don't really like those raids that kind of change the viewpoint that much, but he does look like a cool boss, so we'll have to see. They also teased that actually we're going to be hitting the end. And so we're going to be fighting Kazeros himself, it looks like, within the next year, I guess. And so we'll have to see how that goes. They said they didn't really want to prolong it any longer. Yeah, that's pretty much all they said about that. They also announced that we are getting strike raids, which seemed like we weren't too sure about what was happening, but basically you're going to have a choice between an 8-man and a 4-man version of it. The 4-man will have less difficulty and less rewards, but he said that it was kind of going to be like a way to get people into higher like item level and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's going to be, this is how we get advanced honing or whatever, but he also said this is going to be temporary. And that is ending in the end of March, or it's gonna be released at the end of March. Sorry. So I'm not really sure if that's just gonna be like, is it gonna be just like a surplus of rewards, kind of like we had, Infernal, of the other boss. I can't remember his name right now. Volton. So maybe it's gonna be like that, just like a bunch of juiced rewards for a short limited time or something. We'll have to see. We don't really know a whole lot about this. The fact that you have an 8-man and a 4-man mode is, I think, the big thing, which I think is kind of cool. I do like the 4-man content. It's just easier to put groups together for, and I find that it's just more fun. You can get it's easier to get 4 people than 8, right? That are friends and know what they're doing and stuff. So that's kind of cool. We'll have to see how big the reward difference is. But I think I'm probably always going to be running the 8-man anyway, so. And then, as always, we're getting a new Chaos Dungeon, Cube, and Guardian Raid. I don't really think this is worth really going over or even, actually talking about. They said it was a new model, but to be honest, it looks very similar to the Iguana we fought before. That's a world boss, and even sort of the current world boss in North Kurzan. So I don't really think that's anything too big to get excited about or even talk about. And here is, I think, genuinely, unbiased, probably the 2 best things that they have done for this LOAON. And honestly, they're really, really great changes if you're a new player who hasn't had to interact with these systems yet. So they announced first that they're going to be removing some effects. Chaos and Order node stacking has been removed, which could be good or could be bad. The animations are sped up, which is great, and the available options have been simplified. We don't actually know what that means yet, but in the example video, he still didn't even cut a 5.5. He cut a 5.3. So I'm really skeptical that this changes anything, and also I really don't know why we have to double down on this again. It's so strange to me that they instead went this way rather than just making people buy it from a vendor or something. You have to remember now, at this point, this is in Ivory Tower. So in Korea right now, they have Belshazzar that has the karma system. They have Behemoth which has weapon transcendence. They have Echidna that has armor, advanced honing and stuff like that. Weapon, all the advanced honing, right? They have Thamine that has your armor transcendence, right? And all of these things, all these 4 raids and systems are all after Ivory Tower, right? So we're talking about a raid and a system that's 5 levels behind. That's 5 systems behind. That's so insane to me that they're like trying to still like pretend like we haven't just all left the system behind. Maybe it will be better. The thing is, to me, this doesn't fix the problem. This is too far behind. Everyone should be done with this. Even if you're a new player, don't make them interact with the system. I think the system is faulty from the beginning. Even if you do this stuff to make it better, it's not going to be, I can't imagine a world where it's better enough. We will do a video talking about the changes and seeing what they did to actually change things. But just remove it. Just get rid of it. Put it on a vendor. Make people buy it for gold if you want to get rid of the gold out of the economy. Whatever it has to be, like, it's not fun. It's not gonna be fun. Like, just get rid of it. Now, I didn't think I'd be saying this about Transcendence, but I actually am fine with what they did for Transcendence. It's weird to me that I'm like, get rid of elixirs, get them out of here, when before I was like, they're not that big of a deal. But listen to what they did to Transcendence. So instead, Transcendence is now just going to be a press the button, fill the meter, fill the bar thing. And so what you're going to do, you can't really see it that well, but basically you start here and you just press the button and it looks like it rolls a random value here and you move that many tiles. And when you land on the special tiles, you get a special effect. That's it. It's no longer time consuming. It's just going to be gold. And you know what? Like I said in my video yesterday, that's exactly the change that I wanted. Make it so I press the button, I spend the gold, I get it out of the economy because that's what it's for, and then we move on with our day. And that's exactly what they did. So, before I was like, get rid of it, get it out of here, but I could see where this could be a little fun. Now, is it something you're going to want to interact with? No. But realistically, I could see myself doing this and going back and getting the rest of the flowers, at least on my main. I can min-max my flowers. Before I literally would never have even thought for 2 seconds that I would go and try and get the last remaining flowers that I was missing on my main. I'm missing like 3 flowers. And that much work for an extra 3 flowers was never going to be worth it. But if I just press the button and it rolls a dice 1 to 4 and we move on like we're playing Monopoly, hell yeah, let's do it. So this is much better. Very happy with this. This is the way that the system should have come out in the first place. We should stop having systems that were built like this, like the elixirs, and built the way Transcendence was before. Genuinely bravo. This is much, much better. So if you follow Lost Ark social media, you know we already knew that we were getting solo modes for Echidna and Thamine. They are nerfing Thamine Gold pretty significantly. I think it's going to be like 2,300 or 23,000 gold now for Gate 1 through 4. Whereas before, Gate 4 is worth 21,000 alone. So it's a pretty heavy nerf to Thamine Gold. I hope that we do not get this for a while. Realistically, we shouldn't. They got to take advantage of it for way longer than we have. And people are realistically just now starting to work on Gate 4 in the global mode. A lot of people have been running it obviously for a while, but not everyone. I think we should hopefully get to keep using it for a little bit longer, but we'll have to see. They also did some other stuff like removing the bingo phase of Clown. Not really sure that's super necessary, but they're increasing the rewards. And then also the big change here is that they said that they're going to be in-game guides and they're going to be like indications and notifications in game of what you're supposed to do for the Meg when you do solo mode. This is really good. This will hopefully make it so you don't have to leave the game to learn the fight. A lot of people do enjoy, learning fights by themselves, and so a little bit of like, pointing in the right direction away for things will just help players not have to go to a website. For MMOs, you always have to like go to a website, watch a a couple minute video or whatever for a boss fight, and then go and do it yourself, and then wipe a couple of times and move on. But if they can make it so you don't have to do that extra step of leaving the game, going to YouTube, looking at a video, that's a win in my book. They also added some other quality of life stuff. They changed the map for North Kurzan when you get to tier 4. If you're in tier 3, you only have to run 1 chaos dungeon a day. Just different stuff like this. Gold acquisition can now be changed in the raid itself. And then other stuff like this, they're doing pet like mass presets and fixing some other issues and like stances of characters. This is actually a cool one. I think this is really cool. This before was the Scrapper and the War Dancer stances that they would stand in. Like if you like right click on someone but don't use an ability. So kind of like they're ready to fight kind of thing. So these new stances I think look much cooler. It was just like their legs were just like too spread and they're just like too kind of crouched down. I don't know, just kind of a weird stance. Now I think it looks more cinematic. It looks more, this is my battle stance kind of thing. Anyway, yeah, the music system got announced, so it's basically going to be like a way that you can play music together. You can actually make a band with your friends if you want to. Little social stuff like this is cool. I love to see that in an MMO. Anything to get players to interact with each other more than they currently do, I think is a great system. Lost Ark needs more stuff like this, more stuff to go out into the world and experience being with other players. Everything is instance based basically in Lost Ark, and so this kind of helps with that kind of feeling a little bit. Hopefully we will see these gatherings of people. Maybe people will start a band and they'll play on Thursday nights or whatever, so all cool with that. New island, illusion stones are going to be like new Mokoko seed type things to go around and find. The Mokoko Express. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the KR's Mokoko Express is not that great, to be honest. Everything we saw seemed like it was kind of a bummer, in my opinion. They basically get Ignite server stuff or worse for everything, which is a bummer for them for sure. It is cool if they're giving Light of Salvation 24, but to be honest, man, can we just give everybody Light of Salvation 30 and be done with it? I think we should. And also, there's a really weird thing. They're still doubling down on tripods. Like, I will never understand this. If you do this new Mokoko Express thing as a new player or making a new character, you will get your full level 4 tripods if you finish Triangle. That is absurd. We're talking about gatekeeping tripods. We're really going to keep people from having level 5 tripods at this point? I already talked about how elixirs were like 5 systems back. Tripods would be like 10 systems back by now. Like we are at a point where people have been max tripods for over like 400 item level. Right? Like leave it alone. Just give everybody max tripods in the entire game and be done with it. Don't put it into a Mokoko Express. Don't put it into some weird challenge mission. Just give everyone level 5 tripods across the board and get them the hell out of here. They also announced the Arc Pass that they're going to be getting in KR. It looks cool. Just more skins basically. This is the amount for the gold nerfs. Yeah, you can see they're also nerfing Behemoth Gold. We already have the nerf Behemoth Gold. I actually never realized this, but we currently get 18,500. This is the real bummer right here, bro. So hard mode is going to be from 20,000 for 1 to 3 down to 15,000. So, and then like gate 4, 21 to 8,000. So it is going to be a rough time. Instead of, the 41,000 you can currently make every 2 weeks from Fame Hard, you are going to only get 23,000. It is just the way that it is in Korea, and hopefully we don't get this version anytime soon. All right, guys, and that kind of wraps up all the new things from Winter LOAON. Overall, my thoughts, to be honest, there's a couple different ways to look at things, right? Like One, we can look at it from a veteran player who's been playing this game for a long time. As someone who's been playing this game for a really long time, I would say this was like a 3 out of 10. There's pretty much nothing here for veteran players. Most veteran players are done with the Elixir system. They're done with Transcendence. They're not interacting with realistically the tripods from the Mokoko Express and things like that. So for us, it's pretty much just the new continent, the new class, and a female paladin in the future with the new raid. We knew there was going to be a new continent. We knew there was going to be a new class. We knew there was going to be a new raid. So there's not really anything exciting here. I guess the most exciting thing is the fact that we're like getting to Kazeros later. Oh, one thing that I did forget to add, and I didn't see it in here. They're adding a new stacking damage thing. So if you have something that hits multiple times, it's just going to add it all up into one, or there's going to be an option for it. So like they used an icicle, like a rhyme shot or whatever from the sorceress class. So honestly, that's like one of the best things to look forward to if you're a veteran player, and that's kind of rough. That's not really a good spot to be in, especially because the winter LOAON is supposed to be the big one, right? It's not really anything to look forward to. I think the new class is probably the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, with female paladin in the far future. But I do genuinely think, as much as I don't want to add an Aya to my roster, I do genuinely think it looks cool, being able to transform into these different things. I think that it's like the one thing about a transformation class that I never liked. I always liked the idea of a transformation class, but the fact that you're not like switching in and out and doing things with it, that to me always kind of felt like a missed opportunity, and it seems like they're capitalizing on this. So again, as a veteran player, probably only like a 3 out of 10. As a developer, I'm actually pretty happy with it. They fixed a lot of the issues with a lot of the systems in the game. But the thing about that to remember is that like it's important to, one, acknowledge and be happy about those changes, but two, you really can't give them too much credit for it. And what I mean by that is, as a player, you should be holding them to a higher standard. And the fact that they built those horrific systems, and I will still argue probably to the end of my days that they were some of the worst systems that have ever existed in video games, period, they shouldn't have built them in the first place, right? And so you shouldn't give them too much credit for fixing that. They had to. They served the player base a piece of poop, and they needed to fix that and make it right. So it's good to acknowledge and understand that it's good that they fixed it for new players. But as a veteran player and as a current player, you shouldn't give them too much credit for doing that, because to be honest, that was their responsibility. And some people might disagree with that, but that's how I feel as a player and as a developer. I would never want my users to be unhappy with something I created, and I would never make something that I knew wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't good, I would never want to put it out. And they did anyway. And so them fixing it and making it right now is just a natural, what should have happened all along. This is what they should have just made from the beginning. As a new player, I would probably be let's go back. And as a developer, I would probably give this probably like a 7 out of 10, for them fixing those systems and stuff like that, and understanding, of course, developing those systems, fixing those systems is going to take time and effort, and manpower is not infinite, right? But also, even as a developer, like I said, I don't want to give them too much credit, because at the end of the day, they built something bad, they had to fix it. And they should have been able to do that. They should have done it much earlier. It took them far too long. But it's still good that they did that, and I'm glad that they did for new players. If you think about it from a new player standpoint, it's probably like a 9 out of 10, if I'm being honest. They basically fixed every system that new players are struggling with, right? You get closer to Light Excavation 30 with the new Hyper Express as a new player or a new account. You don't have to deal with the crappy Elixir and Transcendence system. because those systems are coming out sooner rather than later too. Like pretty much all of their problems, you're gonna get your level 4 tripods. No, I'm just kidding. I'm still gonna be salty about that one. That's the true reason why it's a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. There's a new class that looks fun and whimsical, and you know, more raids on the horizon. As a new player, you're probably feeling really good, and you know what? That's really okay. It's a bit of a bummer for veteran players, and sometimes veteran players gotta take the L to make the new player experience better. That's just facts. That's just playing a video game. That's just playing an online live service, MMO, or you know, any other kind of game. New players are important, and so making sure that they have the ability to come in and not get gatekept and not have to deal with these horrible systems is great. One thing I really want to mention though is, while yes, all of this is like a 9 out of 10 for new players, it is such an absolute buzzkill, an absolute blunder on Smilegate's part that they did not get this all set up in time for the Ignite servers on the global side. We saw like crazy growth, crazy amounts of like big streamers coming back and playing during the Lost Ark Ignite servers like 2 or 3 months ago. And if these systems had all been kept, or had all been enabled for the Ignite servers, it would have been the best new player experience that anyone could ever ask for, from Lost Ark. Like literally, it would have been like an 11 out of 10 new player experience, night and day difference from everything everyone experienced previously as a newer player in Lost Ark. It wouldn't have fixed everything, but like the majority of the big problems that people had, it would have fixed, and it would have significantly helped with, if nothing else. So it's huge missed opportunity that they took so long in getting these changes done. And you know, like I said before, realistically, some of those changes, like elixirs, have been in the game for 2 years at this point, so they could have changed those at any point. And they just didn't. So we'll see how, you know, how things go. Hopefully there will be another Ignite server, you know, kind of experience for players to come back to at some point, and hopefully Amazon will do their due diligence and try and bring people back again. But people are less likely to keep coming back like that when they come back, have a good time, and then hit a wall, right? They come back, have a good time, hit a wall, and then we're like, man, it's same old Lost Ark, you know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes in the future. Hopefully we can still capitalize on it and gain some new and returning players in the future. But yeah, those are overall my thoughts, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you got to the end of the video, I greatly appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out, guys. Have a good one.